Meeting to order at 5:30. And do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
No.
So a motion to approve the minutes of April 10th.
Second that. I make a motion.
Yeah, that's fine. Second is good. So I'll second it. And Laura was not present, so it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of April 10th. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No.
Oh, sorry. No. I abstain.
Not
Abstain.
I to agree with you guys. I'll give you that.
Yes. Okay, and that moves us to public comment on items not on the agenda. We don't have anybody from the public here tonight, so I don't think we'll have any public comment, but and then that takes us to our role as liquor commissioners, and I believe that's why Jonathan is here.
That is correct. It's the time of the year to renew beer and wine licenses. All of the licenses are renewals, specifically JD's, Club VT, Putney Food Co-op, Next Stage, General Store, and the Gleanery. They've all paid the required fees. We've received no notices of violations from any of them.
What was the last one you said?
Gleanery.
Oh, yeah, it's not on our list. Okay, that's fine. All right, so do we have any, we've had this discussion before, do any of them have outstanding debts that we think twice about issuing a beer or wine license?
No, you know, Sheriff's Department watches most establishments in the state.
Okay.
So there hasn't been any.
No trouble that we.
Right.
But nobody has significant outstanding taxes or sewer or any of those?
No, none of them are on the list.
None of them are on the list?
Two of them are nonprofits. So.
Right.
And one is a tenant. Two are tenants.
Yeah.
So they're good. They're in good standing.
And I'm not second guessing you, I'm just confirming it is in fact the Putney General Store, not the Historical Society that gets the license, is that right?
How do they fill out their paperwork? Putney G Store LLC.
Okay, sounds good. All right, well, anybody have any questions or concerns about approving all of those on the list at the same time?
I'm fine with it.
Motion to approve.
So that was the easy part. Oh, well, I'll let you vote.
We'll let it. Well, is there a complicated part that we should know about before we get to it?
Everywhere there's a red flag,
We have to
you
sign.
all three have to sign.
So I move that we approve the licensure of the list as presented. Club Vermont.
Plus the.
Yeah, I was just gonna read it off so that we got that in there too. Club Vermont, JD McClemont's, Next Stage, Putney Co-op, Putney General Store, and the Gleanery.
And I second that.
Good, it's been moved and seconded to approve all of the above listed as for renewal of their liquor licenses. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So we can probably work through the signatures well when we talk about the next situation.
Every place where you need to sign has one of these flags. We need all the signatures on it first.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter if they get them out of order.
Okay.
I'll just pick them up.
Okay.
That's these kind of, you can just put them in there.
So Karen and I talked a little bit about this change order this morning. Apparently the majority of it is based on conduit that was underestimated to go under Vinegar Lane, is that correct?
That is correct for the sidewalk, phase 3.
Okay. And you also had said something about there being a change in the box culvert that was spec for the Route 5. Is that so that's not on this?
No,
at
that'll
this
be a
time?
separate change order.
Okay.
That has not come to the town yet. it is my recommendation, I have a phone call into Peter Pochop, he's the state project engineer on the sidewalk. Jeff Durrell, I just spoke to on the phone. And I have a phone call into Steve Zolizzi. My recommendation is to meet, discuss this, because my recommendation is that we
Before
don't
approving
sign
it.
this.
Yeah, no, I
We
would.
have-
The cost per foot is, I think there's been a typo.
No, well, I'm guessing that's cost per foot fully installed. I agree with you. It seems astronomical even fully installed.
10, yeah.
But there's something really surprising about this. It's also, to me, Karen and my discussion about it, how we would have gotten to this point without somebody having caught that. To me, that's a serious oversight on the part of the engineers. Do we know it's a by 10?
Well, this is what I suspect, because if you look at the engineer's estimate, he estimates the footage separate from labor at 2704 a foot at the 678.23. 2704, and he's getting 200. And everything else here. Foot on that, it's different than the rest of the bid. And every other item on here that is just materials, he's actually lower than the engineer's estimate per unit on everything except for this, and this is a factor of 10 higher. So not exactly, but
Pretty darn close.
pretty darn close. And if he had bid it at 20 instead of 2704, that would be in line
It would
with
make
everything.
sense,
Right,
yeah.
exactly. So I wouldn't be comfortable signing it, because if it is a mistake, we're way over
We
at
don't wanna
22
sign it.
anyway. We don't
Right.
need to add any money. We simply have to give approval to get more materials.
Yes. No, and change order by this magnitude, I think the engineer should take some significant responsibility for that. And so I'm not sure what's going on, but I would agree that I don't think we should approve this until we know what the details are.
Yeah, I recommend you don't, until we have a conversation with the contractor, the construction inspector,
Yeah,
and the state.
And maybe the supplier of the conduit to see what it actually costs, for just to know the fact, because even if he's marking it up some, that's fine. But to
Right.
mark it
he
up
should be, of
at
course.
10,000%, well, that's, I mean,
We can request an invoice
Yeah.
showing us the cost per linear foot.
so if this is some kind of special approved exterior for whatever reason, and it costs more than anything I've ever seen before, it'd be nice to know the reason of that.
Yeah,
So we need more details and facts, and then we can,
yeah. I mean, I just suspect a job that running power from a pole buried line under, and I realize this is more complicated and more in-depth than that, but that was 20 bucks a foot.
Right.
A conduit with 2-aught wire, which is a big wire, much bigger than they would be using here.
there's supposed
So
to be
it, you know,
drainage too alongside
I'm
that
sure it's not
conduit.
simple, but we
So,
should find out what
But
the
yes,
details are.
we need some answers.
But again, if we sort of got to that point without the engineers having flagged that, I mean,
Yeah,
it should have been flagged
Yeah.
on the first
Yeah.
round, but also a change order of that that's
Right.
20% of the cost of the whole project.
Exactly.
That's,
And it's interesting, when we talked about this too, I mean, he signed off on the change, did he actually even read the amount? He probably just signed it and said, I gotta get to work, but
yeah,
it'd be nice to know what it actually costs, if there's reasons for the expense. Even 2704 seems high to me per foot, 200 seems crazy, but.
although, like Karen said, if there's drainage, if it's, I don't know, that wouldn't, I agree, it's high,
Mhm.
but it doesn't shock me to the degree that this does, so let's table it. All right, and if we need to, let's see, why don't we, if we get it clarified and we need to approve it before our next meeting, should we designate Karen to sign as for the municipality? Is that all right?
That's fine. I'll have a conversation, and
Certainly,
any
yeah.
one of you can be in that phone
Present.
conversation when
Okay.
we have the meeting with the contractor.
Okay.
So I would encourage and invite
Somebody,
someone.
Yep, okay, well, I'm in myself. all day, every day. I don't always hear the phone, but
Yeah,
I could take a minute.
okay.
if you want.
And are you both all right with Karen signing as the municipality? Have we approved you to sign across the board on this project? Okay, so maybe that's not necessary, but we all agree that Karen can sign for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we get it straightened out. Okay, thank you. All right. Well, that took that off the list. Not so quickly, but pretty quick. Town managers report. Yeah, don't chase it.
Let me help you with your
Done
notes.
I just want to report on the roads because we've been getting a lot of phone calls. There were a lot last week. Brian is ahead of all of them, or trying to stay ahead of them. Putney Mountain Road is getting attention. Banning Road has another issue. Tavern Hill was looked at.
It's been done.
Millbrook, there was a call on that today. So Brian, there's only one grader in town, and they're moving as quickly as they can. People need to remember that if they start putting rock or gravel into a muddy hole, sometimes it makes it worse.
Yeah.
And then driving the equipment over the top, it makes it even worse.
Yeah.
So people need to be patient. Brian is aware, he is doing drive through town. The guys are monitored to know what's good, what's bad, and they're reporting back to Brian.
It was a rough year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And very
Particularly
extended,
rough
you
year.
know, I mean,
Yeah.
that's been, yes, I agree,
Right.
but also surprising in how it has sort of trickled out. You know,
Right.
usually we have a terrible period
Yeah.
and then it gets better with a few exceptions.
Yeah.
This has been, it was really bad and then got terrible for all
Right.
the exceptions.
The weather's changing, winters are different.
Yeah.
If we get more water, it
Yeah.
seeps into the ground, it warms up, it goes deeper, and it freezes.
Yeah.
It used to get frozen, stay frozen, and then snow stay on top of
And
it.
then melt, yeah.
And it doesn't do that anymore.
So I just want to let you know that if you hear anything, Brian is aware of
Yeah.
all of them, so.
No, and I think that's an important thing that you said about, it's really easy to make the messy situations worse by getting in there with equipment. And I
Right.
think, you know, I know Brian's general sort of approach to this is, as long as it's not a complete disaster, don't mess with it, because
Right.
it's gonna be a worse disaster if you do.
Yes.
So,
And
I
more
think he's been,
expensive.
exactly.
More expensive,
ultimately.
worse disaster.
Yeah.
Right,
You know, and, you know, even some of the areas that they've had to go in and clean up, then they have to go back and clean up again. You know,
Right.
It's sort of
Yeah.
losing battle in that sense, but,
And people need to remember, they bought their house where they bought their house. And they knew what the road was when they bought the house. And they knew they shouldn't have bought a Prius to drive there. And I can't dig the mud out of their rims every day, okay?
you
Park it at the bottom.
And here we
do.
have.
Nothing against Prius drivers, right
Park it
there.
at the bottom.
Nothing at all.
Below the mud.
Yeah, no, it's been a problem, but no, I mean, my sense is from the roads I've been driving on, that in the last couple days, they've started going from just band-aiding the worst spots to actually
Right.
doing everything with the grader as
Yeah.
they can, so that's good, because the worst spots were bad, but then it was all the washboard too, which was kind of
Right.
so. Anything else for you?
No,
Okay.
we're catching up.
You want to tell us about your vacation? No. Okay.
It was good. I'm
Town
planning
manager's
another one.
report. There you
I'm
go.
planning a second one.
Did I hear too short? Too short? Too short?
Warm
Like
enough.
7 days away from here.
The list of vacation
It was
now.
like it was like 9 days total, right?
And do you have anything you'd like to report while she was gone? All went
It
smoothly?
was, yeah, it was just all roads.
There you go.
every day.
There is one thing I want to add. It is administrative assistant professional day today.
With that,
Karen got me a lovely basket.
Good.
You might need to read.
You gotta let me know this stuff ahead of time. I am fixing your drawer, so that.
There you go. No, and I'd also just like this to say thank you to Alyssa for managing beautifully.
She did a great
Karen's
job
absence. Yeah.
because, yeah.
I didn't hear any complaints, and that's a good thing, so. All right, in that that case, we're on to warrants.
Yeah. Motion?
I move that we, oh gosh, sorry,
Approve and
approve and
execute.
execute the warrants as presented.
Second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve and execute the warrants as presented, and that will be upon completion of review. All those in favor? Aye.
So payroll warrant dated April 19th in the amount of $9,411.65. And that would be just office and highway, Tom. Payroll warrant dated April 26th in the amount of $9,058.07.
Probably should pay her.
That has on-call and rec department. We'll be gearing up for the pool soon. Joe was up there training.
That's gonna bring back the slide. What did happen, where are we at with that now?
I have the parts, most of the parts
Yeah.
for it.
Sweet.
Put the bottom on and then see how it goes.
Hopefully people put the top on.
I was thinking it might be the slide at the pool, the bottom section, it's a sectional unit. It's corkscrew shaped, and the bottom 4 feet had cracked and broken, so it's been closed for quite a while.
For years.
And right at the end of the year last year, I was gonna fix it, and it took a little longer than expected, so I didn't get to it, so fortunately we're gonna get it in shape before we go. And actually, I had talked about using just a block of some sort.
Right,
But
instead of a waste.
I think and I might get, well, I think we could pretty easily have a stainless cage welded up that could just sit right on, instead of, because trying to attach it to the pole
Yeah,
does not seem like a good idea to me, because that
No.
is what failed the first time around.
yeah.
But I think we could just make a sort of a cube with stainless angle iron. That would probably do us pretty well.
Yeah.
So, Nico, can weld stainless?
I think he can. I'm not set up for stainless. I could weld regular steel, but that wouldn't be good in the pool.
No.
So,
Okay, accounts payable. April 16th through April 26th in the amount of $81,613.61. And where's my cheat sheet? There is a loan interest payment in here of $40,684, so that's your,
You get it buttoned down, Nicole.
Tom had lunch, a meeting.
Okay, I was gonna say that's a really big lunch that Tom had, but as long as other people were there.
It was probably catered.
I was trying for the, yeah, they have training, firefighters, so they probably.
Oh, that's right, they did have a
sandwiches or
recent,
something.
yeah, we had a,
Those two.
It's right there. You just want to buy it. Karen, it's a little tiny piece of paper. Right there, right where your name is. Next. Hold it up.
Oh, yeah, it's one of those slips.
I'm sure,
20 people.
oh, that's more than reasonable.
Yeah.
That goes.
So goes with that.
Yeah.
Also,
It was dinner.
these two, I think, this
That's
goes
more than fair.
Yeah.
at the end of that.
that goes with one from before.
So that's all coming up. This is-
I think.
And so that interest payment is our consolidated debt, that's our
Yes.
Vermont municipal bond bank.
Yes.
And Renaud was for, this is for gravel purchase?
Yep, product, yep, gravel.
For one season. Two 222 yards, that's quite a bit. No trucking must have heard that.
What's the 40 for? That's for,
That's interest payment on consolidated debt that we have, we refinanced all our debt ballpark 5 years ago into a single loan through the Vermont Municipal Bank. So that's the interest payment on it.
There's a spreadsheet there too.
and that debt was for our part of whatever we paid in projects that,
All sorts of things.
all kinds of things.
Was that the fire department and,
It was everything that we had outstanding, yeah, water, sewer, I mean, it was
Yes.
really, sort of across the board, every
Right.
loan that we were able to. And I want to say, what's the total loan amount, Karen, do you remember? It's three million.
Yeah.
631 principal,
Is it necessarily dark?
yeah, it's in the redacted section.
yeah.
We get to do that?
No,
Well, that's right, it's only the president.
we really don't. That's, it'll work out to us. Yeah, done.
I don't,
I want to say it's small.
fire station, water, sewer. Yeah, it probably, I mean, that's about what it was.
Right,
So that 40 was just interest?
correct.
Wow.
No, it's broken out interest principal.
But the 40,
Is all the interest, I thought, because there's a principal with interest.
these are all, they're zero on the principal. Okay.
And then there's an interest. So it's like twice a year we make a payment. And one of those is just interest.
Right, so
Yes.
it's 100, our annual payment for principal, oh no, that's principal and interest, is 121, and then interest only is 40, so it's roughly 160.
So the payments are made at separate times, and it's not a percentage of capital and interest, they're made separately, one's interest and one's against the principal, or we're not paying anything off against the principal?
No, we are paying off the
Yeah,
principal,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
exactly. So we're at one time, it looks like it's at 6-month intervals, and one of those we pay interest only, and then the other
Right.
one we pay interest and principal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it may be, you might be right, that the borrowing was less than that, but the repayment
Right.
well, I can't remember what the total is, but it's a 30-year bond, so it's
Yeah.
even at low interest, which it was, it's still a significant amount of interest. And of course, we pay most of the interest
Right.
towards the front end of the loan, so
Yeah.
it's not cheap. All right, so that's it for warrants. Other business? Executive session?
No.
No. Next meeting date, May 8th, so 2 weeks from today. And that brings us to a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Do we want to discuss it for a while?
It's maybe our shortest meeting
What
ever.
we're doing after we adjourn?
That's what happens when I'm away for.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.